Hi, this is Nicole Rivera, and you're listening to the Stop Writing Alone podcast. This week, I'm continuing the Happy Campers interview series with Alan Carter. Al is a writer from Canada who I met just this last spring when he joined the Stop Writing Alone Happy Campers Club while seeking out writing community to help him in his productivity. He's going to explain that journey to us in this interview, but it's also going to cover his experience as a musician, his experience as a ghostwriter, his experience in writing sci-fi and writing for an educational company for writing textbooks. There's so much going on here with Al. There's so many big and little lessons for writers and creatives of all types. So I want you to tune in. We will have the links in the show notes for all of Al's places where you can connect with him, learn more about the publishing company that he is a part of, but also how you can get a copy of the book Ouch that he discusses in this interview, as well as all of the books that he has been a part of over the years. But I'm not going to waste any more time. Here is Mr. Alan Carter. Enjoy. Happy listening.
Long-time listener, first-time caller. I'm calling in from Kitchener, Ontario, Canada.
That's right.
I'm from all over Ontario. So I lived everywhere, every corner of Ontario.
Love it. Love it. And your writing specialty in this moment would be what? What do you think how would you categorize yourself?
I'm stuff I get paid for, I guess, is ghostwriting.
Right.
Thrillers, political thrillers, and it's but memoir at the same time.
Yeah, memoir with a twist, which is an interesting genre category all of its own. So I think you may be my first. I'm trying to think if you're my first ghostwriter on the podcast. Might have had somebody else. Right. It's so apropos. We're talking in October, so we're getting ready. It's ghost season. But what is that experience like being a ghostwriter? You have like all of this fantastic experience. I guess let's start from the beginning. How did you get into that? How did you find ghostwriting as a path to your writing?
Well, I was originally I am still a professional musician.
Right.
Now, especially thank God I actually got into editing and writing before the pandemic, well before it, because right now you don't see a lot of live orchestra
performance
music.
Yeah.
So I was living in Toronto, and I realized that I need a backup gig.
Right.
Like when I went to university. Like, for instance, I don't think my high school guidance counselor was a very good one because my backup plan was theater after music. So,
man, the pandemic really would have destroyed it all.
Yeah.
Goodness.
So, I went back to school for editing at George Brown College in Toronto. And it was, I did that because I realized that I really like correcting people. And no, but mostly grammar. That goes way back to high school. And I realized after I helped do a developmental edit with a friend on a novel years and years ago, probably 2012, that I really liked it, and I had a gift. I wanted to pursue that because I'm the personality type that I need to be good at what I do.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, I'm good at that too. Great. I'll go for it.
Cool. Yeah.
And so I went to school. Right from there, one of my professors hired me at Rubicon Publishing in Oakville, Ontario.
About Rubicon. Yes. Okay.
Yes. So, and what they do is the gig I was on was science readers for kindergarten to grade 8. I think. So I was personally responsible for hundreds of titles.
Wow.
So I would deal with the writers, get their I would get their manuscripts, and then I would rewrite it. And
right.
Well, mostly because my first line of work there was proofreading. So I had to literally proofread every statement with 3 viable sources. So I know
just for like
so
the
much.
facts alone, just the facts. We're not even talking the grammar stuff or anything like that. Just like, did you get because this was for school textbooks, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like,
so yeah, actually that bunch of titles, I think it was 113 of them, something like that, were for Florida kids. Yeah.
Wow.
So, oh yeah, don't get me started on dinosaurs when we have to say things like some scientists believe, rather than just stating facts.
Right. This is what we found.
Yeah.
This is what we found.
In Ontario, we just go by facts in our education system.
Goodness gracious.
But anyway, so
the politics of textbooks.
Oh yeah.
Or the politics of words, really. Just changing those words. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. Now when I was there, I lived in a small town called Aurora, and we moved there because it was so artsy. Cool. An artsy fartsy little place where there's actual full-time artists, full-time sculptors, and writers at the wazoo.
Wow.
So I got discovered because I applied to be a PR person, a copywriter for this little publisher, who was actually a romance and erotica publisher.
Cool.
But it was the busiest publisher in town.
Right.
So
sounds about right.
Basically administrative stuff.
Right.
I wasn't gonna be writing any purple prose or anything. And then he invited me to coffee, and he says, you know what? Do you write? And do you write science fiction?
Interesting.
And I just finished learning far more than I thought I would ever know about astrophysics, astronomy, rocket science.
From Rubicon, right? From the work in the textbooks. Oh man.
I was primed to start a sci-fi book.
Yeah.
And I said, and I lied. Yes, I do.
Right. All right, I do now.
And so he wanted to branch out into that realm with his publishing company.
Okay, cool.
I would be writing under a pseudonym, which was my first ghostwriting experience, and I got paid by the word.
Okay.
I got about 50,000 words in.
Wow.
And the company tanked. Or I don't know if it tanked or if he just gave up on it, because now he runs a restaurant there. Like he owns a restaurant. I don't know how much he runs it. But. So the guy, he's an interesting guy. He's originally a lawyer. And I think like most of his career stuff is like hobby.
Right. Let me try this.
Wouldn't that be great to have that option?
Yeah. Amazing.
So that's when I started writing.
Yeah.
So I was no longer by trade an editor. So I was writing. After that, I was in contact with a dear friend now, Shaker Kazal. And he wanted me to edit his next book, his fourth book, called Tale of Tawa. The link will be in the below,
Okay, yeah, we'll share the links for sure.
And I was on the for Shaker, I'm the head of his creative team for his books now. This is my third project with him. This recent one called Ouch with an exclamation mark. The one in between is called Life Dice. And we had to put that on the back burner because of the Beirut explosion.
Oh boy.
And all the crises before and after that.
Right.
That's where a lot of my business has been coming from, is the Middle East. And right now, more than ever, it seems, it's a very difficult place to work, whether you're there or abroad or whatever.
Right.
So it's I'm looking forward to getting more work from there. I have some clients I'm working on from Dubai, for my writers coaching, and editing. I have a couple manuscripts. Hopefully they're coming my way. Knock on wood.
Right. So tell us a little bit about Ouch. What is, because that's the latest book that's out now. I mean, all of these, like we said, we'll have the links in the show notes for the books, the Tale of Tala and the other things that you've been working on. But Ouch is kind of like the latest. Is that correct? So
yes,
this is the book that we've discussed. It's like the memoir with a twist.
Yes.
Yeah. So now, what does that mean for anybody?
The first, say, 85% of the book is Shakar's story. Not all of it, because we're still going to do a real memoir, if not a biography, because he's an interesting dude.
Yeah.
But it's just this happened here, and this is why it happened, and I met this person, and I learned this from this person. A memoir all the way until I think the last 4 chapters. It's been a year since we finished writing it.
Right.
So I haven't had the nerve to reread it again yet. You know how it is.
Yes. Yeah.
But then the last, I don't want to give it away, but it's not entirely nonfiction at the end.
Okay. Right.
But it's hard to say that it's fiction as well.
Right.
Because a lot of one of the big themes that we work on is mental health and trauma.
Yeah.
This book was done under a very, very tight deadline.
Yeah.
So there was the explosion, and Shakar was mere, like, I think 2.5, 3 kilometers away from the blast.
Oh gosh.
There's video footage of his building with glass breaking in,
goodness.
Furniture falling over, and people being hurt horribly.
Yeah.
So he says, okay, this is it. I need to write about this now.
Right. Yeah.
So we a lot of it is the idea, I guess it's a trope of the unreliable narrator.
Yes. Yeah.
So just go into it knowing that.
Okay.
So it's just is the stuff really happening? How much of it is real? How much of it is I don't want to say made up, but perceived?
Yeah.
By Shakar, the protagonist.
I can see. Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. It's really interesting, and I don't know if I should be drawing this parallel or if it's just because one of my birthday gifts this week was a book.
Oh yeah, happy birthday. It's your birthday today.
Thank you. About Kurt Vonnegut. And as you're talking about this memoir with a twist, I feel it kind of reminds me of the Slaughterhouse, the story behind Slaughterhouse-Five, that so much of that comes from Vonnegut's true life, horrendous experience in a slaughterhouse. But I mean, you read the book and it's like there's, he had to express his truth through very wild fiction elements. And, it's probably not exactly on that same level, but it's that sort of idea that to really tell our capital T truth, sometimes fiction plays a hand in getting us to the emotional level, or the power punch. Very interesting. I can't wait to dive in. You have talked to us so much about Shakar that he does seem like this larger than life character that I want to know so much more about. So that has been a lot of what you've been doing. And when we met, you were like in it and doing all that. And you're also working on your personal projects and editing for others out there. So how does the transition from being a ghostwriter for all of these other people and projects to coming home to, I have an idea, this is a thing that it's mine, and I want to share it with the world. Is there a push and pull with that? Is there like one space that you feel more comfortable in, and one that feels like, you know, I don't know. I have all these questions. Like, is it an imposter syndrome at any point, or is it even just like having the conversation of, I have all this experience that I kind of can tell you about, but not totally. Anyway, what is it? What is that transition like?
Well, it comes down to my personality type, whatever it is. I'll tell you, I'm
the Alness of it all.
Exactly. Call it altruism. So,
I love it. Yes.
The imposter complex is rife among all of us writers.
Yeah.
And but it's not just writers. I think especially creative types who like, just for instance, I remember I had a gig a long while back now, with the Toronto Symphony. Now, the Toronto Symphony is a very, very good ensemble. Okay. And so I was sitting in the back row because I play tuba. That's where we sit. And I was among my fondest heroes, right?
Yeah.
And I remember the second trumpet player having a conversation with me. I said, I just feel like such an imposter here. I said the word.
Yeah.
And he says, okay, well, what you got to do is you have to trust us that we're not going to hire you if we don't think that you're going to do the job well.
Right. Yeah.
And let me tell you, I rocked the gig. I have some great stories about that gig. But like Yo-Yo Ma was on stage.
Wow.
And yeah, that's a good story, actually. I got to tell this one. So, all right. First of all, I was up till 5 a.m. A friend of mine came in from out of town. We hadn't talked nor drank
at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Until 5 a.m. I heard that correctly. Okay. Get my prepositions straight.
we haven't spoken with nor drank with for that long, so we had to do a lot of catching up.
Right. Okay.
And but 8 o'clock in the morning, my mentor, teacher, and great friend, Mark Tettrell of the Toronto Symphony, tuba player, calls me. He says, "Hey Al, I got strep throat. You want to play the Miraculous Mandarin today?"
Today.
Yeah. I said, Miraculous Mandarin. I'm like, I've never actually heard the tune, believe it or not. Right. I said, like, is it hard? He's like, yeah, it's Bartok. It's hard. I'm like, and what's going through my head is, now if I say no, the personnel manager, if he's part of this already, isn't going to call me again.
Right. You never get that call again. Right.
Yeah. Yep. So I said, yeah, I'll play that. So what is it? Rehearsal today, dress tomorrow, concert tomorrow night. He says, actually, the dress rehearsal's at 10. Oh. And I said, okay, I got to get up and have a shower.
Yeah. Goodness.
So I go to Roy Thompson Hall, and I'm sitting there in the chair. I get there early so I can go over the part. I see that there's Miraculous Mandarin by Bartok and some cello concerto.
Right.
I'm like, okay, I'm not going to have much of a part in the cello concerto, so that remains closed behind the Bartok. And I'm going through, I'm like, oh my God, this is hard. I got a bunch of crazy leaps, like 11ths and 9ths out of nowhere with no reference pitches. I just I got to really get this down. So I'm practicing it like a madman as people file in. The first trombone player at the time, Gord Sweeney, who is a god, and I love him dearly. He's an old Texan, and he says, Al, if you feel like if you're not playing quite on the beat, or if you feel a little off, just stop playing.
Oh, goodness.
Like, all right, thanks, Gord. Thanks for the vote of confidence.
Feeling great about all of this. What did you just hear that made you say that?
I know exactly, because he heard me warming up. That's for sure. And so I'm as ready as I'm going to be. And rehearsal starts. The conductor comes up, and then they call out we're going to do in rehearsals. We usually do the soloist first, so they can get in and out.
Okay.
And the soloist that day was Yo-Yo Ma. Now he comes out with his cello, and he looks right at me. Now I'm stage left at the upstage, so that's the back of the stage, and he comes out. I'm stage right. Pardon me. He comes out stage left, bottom stage. So from the wings,
Right.
and from that's about a good, I don't know how many yards, but that's many hundreds of feet.
Right.
And he looks right at me, I swear, and he waves.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
And I lean over to the bass trombone player and I say, Jeff, is Yo-Yo Ma waving at me? He's like, oh yeah. He's glad to see you. Mark wasn't here yesterday. I'm like,
oh.
So I grabbed, I finally opened the part.
Right.
And I see written top left, solo with cello, solo with cello, solo, solo. There's 4 different sections of at least 16 bars each, where it's just me and the cello playing.
No, oh my God, you didn't even look at before.
No, so I sight read.
Oh,
the counter melodies to Yo-Yo Ma's solo in rehearsal.
Goodness gracious!
And so that
was that then, before or after the conversation about the imposter syndrome?
That was after, like, that was in a prior gig. I had that
conversation. Okay. Cause that's what I was going to say. Like, I don't think I would have been able to rise to that challenge if I hadn't already had that moment of, I wouldn't hire you. Like, you belong here. How do you know you belong here? Because you are here. Like, if you wouldn't get in the door if you didn't belong. So, oh my goodness, what an experience.
So I pulled off the gig, and I had some of the best compliments of my music career after that.
Amazing.
I won't go into them, but it was very affirming. That was a very good experience. Go on, 2.5 hours of sleep and lots of caffeine and even more adrenaline.
Right. Yeah, my goodness. Well, right. I forgot about the lack of sleep on top of it all. Whew.
So that story leads to the fact that in music, as a performer, and I'm a performer. That's my personality type. I think I did the test and it was right. I'm a performer. That I'll distill it down. You have this ego, and then you have self-esteem.
Oh yeah.
It's and I labeled it back when I was in musical theater, because oh my God, musical theater types and opera types are to extreme this way, like I am. And it's like, hey, everybody, look at me. You like me, right? You like me. Look at me. You like me? Yeah. Look at me. Yeah.
Right.
So it's those things all at once.
Right.
And when you're writing, and when you're playing music, performing, when you're being reviewed or critiqued, it can hit you it's a personal thing.
Right. Oh yeah.
Because it is.
Yeah.
Like if I do an audition, I'm auditioning, not my tuba.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm publishing, I wrote words, and they're reviewing those words. How many stars am I worth?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's so that's the battle that we're all very familiar with.
Well, and I've been having this conversation since I was a teacher, because I was a teacher coach, and I would have to really help my teachers when the administrator would come in to observe them and essentially critique them, right? It's an observation. And then afterwards they have the conversation about the lesson. How did it go? What went well? What didn't go well? And it is very similar, because when you write a lesson and you essentially perform the lesson, it is from your soul, right? It is like your baby, your creation. And while you may know some things hit and didn't hit, there are times that you think everything went well, and then somebody gives you that critique and you're like, but that was that thing I dreamed of, and that was my so I did poorly. I'm not a good teacher. I'm terrible at this. And it's very similar in writing. However, you do have to, and I feel like I'm going to try to help you through this right now, but you do have to separate yourself from the work. Like, it is a separate entity. And it is incredibly hard, though, when it's a creation. Any type of creation that you have, you feel so personally bound to. And it's okay to get like the critique of that and know that it is only about that thing in that moment. And it is not about you as a person, right? It is, and it's work, I think. And that's why I'm saying that, like, I'll help you with this, because it's not, I can't tell you to not take it personally, but I can tell you to do the work to not take it personally. It's like you have to remind yourself every single time that that's not about you. It's so hard. It's so hard. And I think the only reason that I don't like crumble when I get any sort of critique over my writing is because I've been practicing that bit a lot. You know, like what do they talk about? Your 10,000 hours to mastery of a thing. Like I've been getting a lot of practice, not only with getting critique, but also having this conversation with so many people about, it's not about you. Like when I'm telling you this, it's not about you. And it's like, I finally intellectually got it when talking to somebody else. I'm like, that wasn't about you at all. You get that, right? So yeah, but you're right. I think all creatives, whatever it is that we create, we struggle with. I mean, even it's like ridiculous to say, but even as parents, right? If somebody says something about our child, it's immediately, I'm a failure as a human being. And what kind of parent am I to let my kid, you know, whatever. So yeah, but I get it. It's rough. And you have the performance and like you said, the ego and the self-esteem, all of these different layers. And that kind of sort of is really interesting to me to hear you say like, okay, I'm a performer and I need the performance for my ego. And yet you found how did that play in the ghostwriting bit? If your name wasn't attached immediately to the writing, do you think that sort of helped you with that a bit? Or like, how did that come into your mind at all, that like, oh, I'm not getting the credit for this writing on the quote unquote stage?
Certainly on a level. I was saying, okay, so my name's not on this. I've been doing a lot of copywriting articles.
Yes.
And that's a whole other kind of writing. Oh my gosh. But it's still storytelling.
Yeah.
And my editor would come back to me. I remember she used the term professional. She says, now we want this to look really professional. And I'm like, couldn't it be a little more constructive than that? Like, you're employing otherwise. But
shall I get it a suit and tie?
Exactly. But anyway, it's I not having my name on it when I'm proud of it is a problem. when I'm like iffy, someone else can have the credit.
Right. Let me hide behind this rock. Yeah.
But it's you can take more chances, or you might be more able to take more chances.
Yeah.
And you can rely on, if the person you're working for already has a reputation, then it's good. You can get away with a lot more.
Interesting. Okay.
You can try out stuff that you wouldn't normally do. Like on one book I wrote, I did a really cool way. I don't know if it landed. Right. According to the reviews, it did. A different way of I counted down the chapters.
Interesting.
Although that wasn't a ghostwriting thing. I was editing Ouch.
Okay.
And we did the countdown.
Yeah.
From to chapter 1.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Because it ends in an explosion, right?
Right.
So
right.
it kind of worked as a countdown.
Down. Very neat. Yeah. Oh, and that's a really great way of looking at it. Like really getting to stretch out as a writer, try things that you might not be ready to put your name on. So many people talk about getting trapped also when they start writing, that like, oh, now they are the writer of this type of thing. People only want to see that one thing from them. So I guess in the realm of ghostwriting, you have that beautiful flexibility of, I can write about whatever, And then when I write under my name, I can make a more educated choice about what it is that I want to do. So yeah, so this is great. So you've had all this experience with writing, you've been doing the textbooks, and then you move into the ghostwriting. You start writing on your own, and what drew you to what gave you this feeling of I need writing community? Like, since you were having such a good road on your own, why did you seek out? Was that like the Happy Campers Club, like your first sort of leap into writing community?
Oh yeah. Now, I could have a super high profile gig. I mean like a writing gig, and I will still sit in front of the screen and not be able to start. And when I do, I won't be able to stay on task. Okay. And it's just, and then I looked back at Rubicon, the actual setting. So, it was like a bullpen, right? So it was desks filling this big, huge room.
Right.
It was kind of dimly lit because so many computer screens. We all had great big Macs.
Right.
Which was great. That was my first experience with a Mac, and I'm on one right now. And and if ever I'm holding my mouse and I'm looking at I'm talking about the Jurassic period and different fossils, and and then I'm like, okay, I'm bored for a minute. And I look around and I'm like, oh, that person's working. Back to work.
Oh, that's what we do here.
Exactly. So I wanted a place. I wanted a workspace. Yeah. I wanted a shared workspace. That was the practical reason I wanted it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to be able to look up at the screen, at that Zoom screen full of faces. And when their video is on, it helps me the most because I see they're working.
Right. Yeah.
And it goes the opposite. I'm like, okay, I want to be that for them too.
Right. Yes.
And
that's me.
and then we have our discussions like this, but with lots of heads on the screen.
Yeah.
And when I was talking the other day about my sci-fi book that I revisited, the one that's half written, I got the rights for it.
Right.
So now I can write it myself.
Get back into it
under my own name, and I have the rights. He was a lawyer. He helped me out a lot because I sent him a contract to transfer rights. And he says, "Oh, I would change this, this, and this," and he proofread my my legal documents for me. He was very helpful.
That's great.
And he already paid me for it, and he gave me the rights, so I have to thank him for that.
Yeah.
Where was I going with this? Oh yes, about the community and not writing alone. I work so much better with accountability partners or a group like that.
Yeah.
So if I say on Monday that I want to do this other stuff by the end of the weekend, I'm way more liable to do it. And that goes back to confidence, self-esteem, self-worth, and how in your weakest times, which are when it's hard to work, you need to know that you're doing it for someone else. I find.
Right.
And if I can get through that, a few minutes of weakness with that help, then that's what it's for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of ties into, like you said, that you identified that the performance aspect, right? It's almost like it's some interpretation of an audience of your productivity this time, right? But I totally resonate with that as well. That sadly for me, I always say it's sadly that I can't show up for myself in the same way that I can show up when there's community. So that was part of my whole inspiration for Stop Writing Alone. But I love that it was sort of an internal investigation of what worked before. Because that's how I come to my realizations. It's like, wait, I did writing before. When did I do it? What was that environment like? What helped? What was it about this weird room. Was it the Mac? No, it wasn't the Mac. Was it the, like you have to sort of like go through all the details. So the fact that you were able to identify for yourself that it was like, no, it was literally just having people working next to me to sort of make me realize I needed, to get back to it. I love that. That's fantastic. So do you have any part of the process where you absolutely have to write alone, where writing alone like really elevates the story, or is it the, being with people and having people around you is always going to be your best bet?
If I want to get a lot of words down, I go to my pen.
Oh, yes.
And I
you want to tell us about the pen, Al?
Well, there's lots of pens.
We could put a link in the show notes about the pens as well.
Yes. Oh man. So right now my favorite is my Conklin Durograph.
Oh, that's fancy. That is fancy.
1.1 millimeter stub nib. and it's right now it's got what is it called? Heart of Darkness by Noodlers Inc.
Well, the ink is getting fancy now black. Too. Yeah. Holy moly. This is great. That is fantastic. So I've been watching you do all this handwriting. Is that journaling or story? Like, what is it? Or is it both? It's yes.
All the above.
All of the yeses.
All of my self-talk has been done through my pen now. Good and bad. And that way I can hold it literally at arm's length.
Get it out.
And observe it. And but my most authentic dialogue only occurs when I'm handwriting.
Interesting.
So when it slows me down, my brain, which is always going.
Right.
So it's great in that I can get into that scene. Pretending has never been a problem with me. It's getting everything down the way I want it. And if I can slow it down, it's like, you're doing it slow motion in a movie.
Right.
Almost literally in my head, the scene is slowing down.
Oh, wow.
And that way I can see, okay, oh, there's beads of sweat on that person's brow.
Capture details.
I'm going to describe that. And this line of dialogue, even halfway through it, I'm thinking about how it's going to impact the response, where it comes from, and if that's the best wording.
Right.
So to get to that point that I'm making in my head, and God, I like writing. I like writing by hand. Now, I never thought I would, because I had been printing since probably grade 7 or 8, really? When I was allowed to stop using written cursive.
Yeah.
And so it's just been so clumsy and ugly that I didn't think anything of it.
Right.
I didn't think it was worth doing. And typing, I was so much faster at typing, like everyone is. I thought that was the most productive way to do it. But now I'm handwriting, and I got so much better since I'll show you. I still have this right by
to practice,
just in case. Like, I'm always forgetting Z's and Q's, and that's not the Q I use there. But
I was gonna say Q has changed. I hear the writing a Q, and because that one that you just showed, that's the Q like I learned. Yeah, that looks like a 2. But I saw recently somewhere that there's a new way to write Q in cursive. I don't know what it is.
It looks more like a Q to me. This isn't the one I learned. That's just the one.
Me too.
So and I got so much better. I can flip through my my morning pages. I'm on the journal like 4 or 5 now.
Wow.
Since I started, and I haven't been doing it long, but it looks so much better. It looks like handwriting that I can be proud of.
Yeah. And you're, I mean, I know that you've, as you just said, the dialogue is becoming more, more authentic. I love that idea. Like you said, that the scenes are coming in slow motion. You can really see everything that's going on. Do you, because this is one thing that I know that many writers are always worried about when they talk about handwriting. Do you ever feel that you're going to lose your thread or your idea, or do you have a way of sort of like jotting down those ideas that are far off before you can get to them in script? Or is it sort of part of the process that if it's lost, it wasn't meant to be?
Yeah, like I was gonna, like that's something that, what is it? Stephen King said that, where do you take notes? No, because if I'm not remembering it, it's not worth
it wasn't
much to write down. It's not much to write down.
Mm.
But when I'm writing, there's the extra facet, like I was saying, how I'm working on making my writing look nice.
Yeah.
And when you have a brain like mine, and I hope not many people do.
Oh, come on.
Hey, it can work against you sometimes. But when I can occupy part of it with the art of writing,
right,
I can, it brings the most important things to the forefront, and there's less of the peripherals. Self-doubt doesn't have a place to sit.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Yeah.
Sometimes, which is great. And yeah, I want to do it more. Like when I'm ticky-tacking on my keyboard.
This is so interesting to me. I wish you didn't say this about the performance thing, because it's just constantly playing in my mind, because it's like the making the handwriting, look wonderful is the page performance.
Yeah.
Right? So you are making sure that it looks great. And it's wonderful because you've found, I shouldn't have said, I wish you didn't tell me, because it's actually quite wonderful, right? So you intentionally or not found a way to create a performance in your writing, which is what sings to your soul, which shuts down all of the voices, because it's now the page can be a performance in and of itself. You can say, look how beautiful this is. And there's stuff going on in there too that I might feel a little insecure about, but it's okay. I was able to get it out because look at how beautiful my letters are, and the ink and the pen and everything. That's amazing. I mean, did you go into that intentionally, or as you were writing, you started to notice the quiet?
Yeah, it was probably weeks and weeks in. I realized like that I liked it so much.
Amazing.
And I knew that. And
I remember watching you fall in love with it, but I didn't know if it was like an intentional dive in. It was, this is great.
And what is it? It's less than a year I've been doing it.
Yeah. Like we said, I mean, I met you in the spring.
Yeah.
So, and it's the fall now. So yeah.
And I can't wait to see what my handwriting is going to look like next year. I want to get into my flex nibs, whereas my stubs are kind of cheating because it makes it look really pretty with varying line width. Whereas with a flex nib like this one, it's like I said, it's flexible. So when you apply a little bit of pressure, the line gets thicker, and with less.
Which can be beautiful. Yeah.
I want to work on that.
Well, I just love that, you may have intentionally or unintentionally opened a door for some writers out there of a different way of shutting down those voices that sometimes just get in the way. And I think, I say this all the time, but this is a perfect example of it. It's like I could give advice until the cows come home about how to shut down those voices. But I think each of us has our own unique path to that based on whatever serves our voices and our personality best. And so it's like this whole process that you've really organically found your way to, really seems to be a perfect match. I love that. I'm wondering if it works.
Two more practical ways, two more practical reasons to do it. One, I was having really bad eye strain, neck, shoulder pains from sitting in front of my computer all the time, and then doing so much of my work on a piece of paper that, my pad is purple and easy on the eyes.
Right.
Even my I don't like to do bleached white paper because it's just nice to not have to stare at something super bright.
Yeah.
Like I always have I have a dark theme on all my screens always.
Yeah.
But then and the other thing that's practical is when you have your handwritten stuff.
Right.
Look at that. Isn't that beautiful?
And
there's lots of it.
I am a handwriting geek. Did I ever tell you? I used to get handwriting awards.
Oh, nice.
Like that. That's a thing in my past.
You gotta get into fountain pens, Nicole.
I have one. My final gift. It's funny, actually. Yesterday was my birthday. My final birthday gift from my father. Well, it was really from my mother the year after he passed. She said, I think your father would want you to have this. And he had started collecting fountain pens, and it's a Mont Blanc. And that beautiful. Was actually one of the first pens that I used to do my own writing with. I would write stuff on scraps paper, and then I would have my journal and take out my Mont Blanc and make sure I wrote it all pretty and beautiful like that. So yeah.
That's great. Yeah. What nib do you have,
I have no idea. Whatever it was on it. Goodness, I have no idea. It's an antique fountain pen.
Oh, that's great.
I'll have to show it to you later, and then we can
probably a fine. Probably fine's the most common. Extra fine, and medium. But right. I find them so boring because they don't have the variants in line.
Anyway. Once I learned about that, that's really cool. But yeah.
Yeah. And so but when I have my handwritten page and I'm typing it into Scrivener, imagine how clean the copy is after.
Well, that is the thing that I hear from so many people who do handwrite. Because Casey, who's in our group too, she's handwriting her novels always. Like that's always been her process. And she says that, that's my first review of revisions happens in that step, because that's the thing that freaks me out. I'm like, so then I'm gonna have to type it all later. But it's true. Even when I am typing my story, I end up essentially retyping the whole damn thing in my first revision anyway. So why not? In fact, I'm trying to wonder if it's because of you guys in the group talking to me, but for the NYC Midnight Stories that are short stories, and I have that crazy deadline of like 48 hours, I've been handwriting them. I handwrite a draft, I flip the page, I rewrite the story. The last one I rewrote it 17 times before I got to the computer. I wrote it over and over again. Then I keep asking myself, how can I replicate this for my novel writing? And maybe the answer is right before me, and I just have been in denial. Perhaps I do have to handwrite a first draft and try. Maybe that'll be my nano experiment, to try to handwrite some long fiction and see what happens. It's scary. It's so scary to me. But yeah, I think there's something to be said for that. Even one of my faves, Neil Gaiman, he handwrites all of his fiction. I think he has someone who types it for him though.
Nice.
That's the thing. Oh my goodness.
If you can get an editor that types, that would be good.
That would be great, right?
That's a service I should offer.
There you go. Okay, I'll add into the website. So Al, I've been asking everybody that has been coming in from the Happy Campers Club. I'm just curious if we had to create, or you had to create, the Al Carter definition of writing community, what would that be for you?
Oh, that's good. I think it is, I want to say support group for so many reasons. Number one, and maybe the most important, but hopefully not the biggest reason, is like just the other day when I have another novel idea. I think it's a pretty novel idea.
Yes.
about my the subject matter, where I'm writing as a cis male who is also white, about a woman exploring her sexuality, and mental health issues, stuff that is number one, very important subject matter, and it's full of pitfalls. Even if you're writing from the viewpoint of someone who's experiencing the exact things,
right?
But I'm not.
Right.
Most of the stuff I don't experience.
Yeah.
You know, and but I feel such a responsibility to the subject matter that I want it to come off really authentically, and with thoughtful purpose.
Right.
And so I needed to present these ideas and get some pointers. Basically, you know, a pre-sensitivity read.
Right.
Like, should I even try these topics?
Right.
Is it my place? Am I white mansplaining? You know?
Right.
But and I would rather try it and be the one that people say, oh, you know what, like, this is how white men should be writing this stuff. Like this guy, you can see that he cares about the subject. You can see that he even if he doesn't understand it the way he could, he does it with a sensitivity that makes you think about the subject, that honors the subject.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I want, and I don't want to, like, the best advice, and this is it. I got this great advice from this group, and there's another writing group that I was going to during that break.
Right.
And the suggestion was, watch out for cliche.
Yeah.
If you write one cliche, it's gonna make the voice not unreadable, but inauthentic.
Right.
And if you're sure of something, that's where you research.
Yeah. Good.
If you're confident about a subject matter, just double check.
Beware of certainty. Yeah. For sure.
So I would never have heard those things had I not a writing community.
All right. Yeah. It's that's a good one. Just the outside voice for in tune with the things that are important to you. This is a very important topic to you. Doing it right is important to you. You want to think of all the things, but alone we can never think of all the things. We always kind of need to bounce it off of people. Very cool. Al, thank you so much. Thank you for this. I want to give you an opportunity to let everybody know where they can find you and connect with you and all of that. So where can the listeners find L&D?
So I have a website, allencarter.ca. That's ALLEN Carter.ca, and CA, that's what we call .com in Canada.
Right.
And if you contact me through that, it goes right to my email, and I would love to hear from anyone about anything, especially story ideas right now. I'm the first call editor at Obsido Inc. That's a company that was out of Beirut, Lebanon, but they're moving to Turkey. They're moving into offices in Istanbul right now. So that means everything's on a standstill. So, right. But where the publishing company, the publishing aspect of the company is going to be first-time authors. That's going to be their main push.
Right.
So if anyone has any manuscripts that they want to have looked at, I'm in a position to help you out.
Oh, perfect. And so that's straight through the website, your contact page. Are you, is the company seeking like a particular genre, or is it sort of open call for?
It's open call. Now the topics that are hot, of course, are human rights, mental health. If any themes like that are in your story, great. If not, doesn't matter. They were very excited to know about my my sci-fi book.
Right.
They didn't have any sci-fi authors yet.
Okay.
That's how new they are. Like
Yes.
I might be there's I think 3 other authors right now. And the rest of them are from the Middle East, mostly Lebanon. And it's just it's topics that are hot out there, but at the same time, there's a space race going on as well.
Right.
I mean,
So sci-fi is
the next thing we're doing is we're going to be hitting Mars. We haven't had anything like that since 1969.
Exactly. So exciting. Exciting times.
Well, I think there's going to be a big push on sci-fi very soon.
Right. I agree. It's been in the conversation for a while. It's back on the news. We're talking about, people going to space and things of that nature. So the interest is growing for sure. For Obsidio, are you guys really just looking for fiction right now, or do you know if is there any space for nonfiction?
Yeah, there's certainly space for nonfiction.
Oh, okay,
great. especially memoir.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right. So yeah, I will definitely, I mean, like Al said, it's alancarter.ca where you can reach out to him, but all the links will be in the show notes as well. But anything
the
else?
Links to Ouch. I want everyone to go buy Ouch.
Yes. And are you, I mean, I know you said everything's sort of in limbo right now, but there's potentially going to be is it bookstores that you guys are going to be going to, or you don't know about the schedule yet?
Shacker just messaged me the other day saying that, I'm coming to visit in October, which is big news because he's able to travel out of Lebanon. Wonderful news. And he's going to be visiting here, Kitchener and Toronto, and also his other base of operations, Manhattan.
Okay.
So that's the first place I met him in person, by the way.
Oh wow.
Yeah, beautiful. He had a beautiful condo in
some part
Hell's
of New
Kitchen.
York City.
That's it.
Hell's Kitchen. Yeah. Cool spot. So, and will information about that kind of stuff be on your website or? Yes.
So you can look up Shaker Khazal. It will be it's CHAKER. Next, his last name Khazal is KHAZ, or Z for you. Yeah. AAL. KHAZAAL. Oh, it doesn't even come out my mouth right. Our alphabet doesn't rhyme in Canada, by the way.
I think I've told you, my son became obsessed with like many different alphabets as he was learning our own alphabet. And so he was all Z all the time. And I was like, dude, when you get to school, we're going to have a problem and it's not going to be my fault. And you're not wrong. I just don't know. I was so worried he was going to have like a stickler teacher that'd be like, what are you saying, kid? But yeah, so we will put the links for Shacker's site as well, the link for Ouch for everybody to follow along and maybe even get an opportunity to see you guys face to face, which would be fantastic.
For sure, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might be joining him in New York. We'll see.
Oh my God.
We'll see.
What? Okay. Okay, Al. Well, thank you so much again for all of this, and thank you for being part of the Happy Campers community. It's been
my pleasure.
Awesome to have you. So
thank you for putting that on. You do such a great job.
No, thank you.
We all really appreciate it.
Like I said, it's kind of like this is how I force myself to show up. Mm-hmm. But yeah, okay. Thank you. Well, I can't thank Al enough for that, and I thank you for listening. I hope that you got some wonderful gems out of that, but I do want to take an opportunity here to ask you a question. I've been asking everybody for their very own definition of writing community. Every single week that I've talked to somebody here from the Happy Campers Club, I've asked them, what is your definition of writing community? And now I'd like to ask you. What is your definition of writing community? Whether you've experienced it and you've had something that worked for you and you said, this is truly writing community to me, or it's something that you are still dreaming of being a part of. If that's the case, what is it that you're dreaming of? What is it that you're looking for when you are thinking, I need to find my writing community? Whatever your definition is, whether it's something out of experience or something that you are dreaming of, I would love to hear it. And you could email me your response, of course, but I would love it even more if you would record it for me on the Stop Writing Alone hotline, which is 646-907-9607. So give me a call. You can leave on the voicemail. What is your definition of writing community? I would love to get as many answers as possible as I can to this question. I think there are many overlaps, but as you've been hearing, if you've been listening to this whole Happy Campers interview series, there are these unique little details and nuances that I think are really important to take note of. And so, whatever it is for you, I'd love to hear it. Again, the number is 646-907-9607. The more, the merrier. And that's it for this week. Have a wonderful week. Thank you, as always, for listening.